Hey YouTubers, how you doing? I have here a firearm from Masterpiece Arms. It's their Defender series. This is the MPA930T, which is a MAC-10 style pistol. Comes here, as you see, with a magazine. It is, I believe, it's around 30 rounds. I forget if it's 30 or 28, something like that. Fake suppressor and mag loader. They have several different models in 9mm and 45, and I decided to go with the 9mm a lot because of the cost of the ammo. I figured 9mm is a little bit cheaper to shoot, and it's still a very good round. I like the 9mm quite a bit. So, a little bit about the history. Like I said, it's a MAC-10 style pistol. The MAC-10 was predominantly made from steel stampings. It was designed by Gordon Ingram for the Military Armament Corporation. Its official designation was M10. It was used 1970 to 1975. The United States used it. SEALs used it some in Vietnam, used mostly by special forces. The original fired from an open bolt. Open bolts are now illegal in the United States, so this version fires from a closed bolt. So in some of the different models, they had where the charging handle was on the side. You cocked it. I don't remember if it was left side or right side, but it was on the side, and that allowed you to mount a reflex style sight on top. But I'm kind of a traditionalist, and the original had this charging handle on top, so kind of went with that. It's notched so you can see through to line up your sights. See, here is built really well. From all the reading I've done on the forums of all the MAC-10 style pistols that are made, the semi-automatic versions, this one here from Masterpiece Arms is supposed to be the best and highest quality. I like it quite a bit. At first I made a mistake of taking off this rubber tube right here on the trigger. Don't do that. When you fire it, it has a very bad trigger slap, and your finger will hurt if you take it off. So you definitely want to keep that on there. There's the safety. Right here it's fire. It's unsafe. Trigger pull on it was actually surprisingly clean with a nice crisp break on it. A lot more so than I thought. And actually, in general, it's a little bit more accurate than I thought it was going to be. I've heard horror stories of the pray and spray, which I could see on full auto. I could see how that could happen. But this semi-auto version here is actually fairly accurate. Kind of a funny story, potentially lethal story. Back when I was in the infantry, one of my buddies had one of these, and I don't think it was Masterpiece Arms. I have no idea what maker it was. It was back 92, 93, around in there. And bought one of those the bump fire triggers you put on here, and I don't remember what they were called. And it warned all over the package to put some sort of muzzle device on front to balance it out so it doesn't jump out of your hand. And of course, he didn't do that. All right. So he's shooting it, and it's like, man, it's not working. Because as the bump fire triggers, they take a little bit of practice to get them to work. So he's shooting it, not working, not working. He had his hand just like this. All of a sudden, this thing just took off and jerked out of his hand, and he almost shot his hand off. So I would be very careful if you were to use any of those type devices and heed their warnings and put on some sort of balancing muzzle device, whether it be a fake suppressor, a real suppressor, or whatever. Go ahead and put that on, just for your safety. So here's the fake suppressor. Thread's on there. And it's definitely easier to shoot with this on. Most of the shooting I did is with it on. It's a lot more controllable. So there's the suppressor. The original MAC-10 suppressor, which was kind of a famous suppressor, actually it was larger right here. It actually had two sections, a big section and a smaller section. And supposedly it was one of the most efficient suppressors ever made for a 9mm. It was so quiet that you could actually hear the bolt cycling. And here it is with the magazine. This gun here, you know, I've heard a lot of people say it's not practical. And I would agree that it definitely fits into the gee whiz slash fun gun category. But, you know, I would argue for home defense, I would think it's a pretty decent pistol. Like I said, the accuracy was pretty good on it. It was pretty controllable. It's pretty heavy as compared to most guns, most pistols. So I would definitely say you could use this as home defense. There would be no problem with that. If you got one of the ones with the side charging handle, you know it has a rail on top, a Picatinny rail. You can mount a laser. You could mount a reflex sight. So, and it would definitely be a great handgun for self-defense then, or home defense, whatever. So, takedown on this is fairly simple. Pull out this pin right here, and then you want to push out on this side, which I forgot to bring. I had a little device I used for that, and I forgot it. Let me see if I can get it with this. Forgot to bring it. Do not do this at home. This is like, I'm sure all the knife people out there are saying, what? Alright. It's not going to cooperate. Alright. That just slides out. Here's the lower receiver on it. There's the hammer. Very straightforward, very simple design. Which is something I think is kind of neat about some of these older firearms like this. They're very simple. And this here is what's called a telescoping bolt. See this barrel, you know, a lot of people think it's like a 1-2 inch barrel. It's actually quite a bit longer than that. This bolt, it's a telescoping bolt, so the bolt actually fits around the barrel. And it does this, it allows for a more compact weapon, and it also balances the weight of the weapon so that it's all over the magazine well here. Helps it be balanced for a little bit better controllability. So, but as you see, it's a very simple weapon. I'm sure back in the day, you know, there were people made things like this at home, similar stuff back in, you know, you always read about resistance fighters back in World War II, stuff like that. Very simple weapon. The barrel on this, you know, I'm not sure. I would say maybe 4 inches. Yeah, probably around 4 inches. So it's probably maybe like an inch and a half shorter than some of the other pistol barrels, but not that short. It's, you know, it's not that bad, and it actually has a fairly long sight radius on it. So the horror stories you hear of how inaccurate it is are not true. It's not that inaccurate. As I said, if you were firing this on full auto, then yes, it would probably be inaccurate. Only, or, you know, and you can't even really say inaccurate, you just say hard to control. Putting together, of course, is the opposite. Push that in. Push that in, and there you go. So, like I said, this is definitely a fun gun to shoot. You should check it out. It's Masterpiece Arms. It's a 9mm. And this is the MPA930T. And if you have any questions, let me know. Semper Fi.